tensions in the Middle East are rising once again, but how close are we to the edge of a major global conflict? Is this just political posturing, or the early signs of something far more dangerous? Could a fragile ceasefire collapse at any moment, pulling powerful nations into direct confrontation? And most importantly, what happens next if diplomacy fails? The global spotlight has now shifted back to a familiar and volatile standoff, as Donald Trump issues a stark and uncompromising warning directed at Iran, signaling that the already fragile situation could rapidly escalate into something far more severe. Speaking from the White House in a firm and deliberate tone, Trump made it unmistakably clear that the United States is not prepared to tolerate any deviation from the terms of the ongoing agreement. His message carried a sense of urgency and finality, emphasizing that if the current deal collapses, the response from Washington would not only be swift but significantly more forceful than anything seen before. Despite the announcement of a temporary ceasefire between the United States and Iran, the atmosphere on the ground remains deeply tense, with both sides maintaining a posture of caution mixed with readiness. The ceasefire, which was initially presented as a crucial step toward de-escalation, now appears increasingly fragile as disagreements over its conditions continue to surface. While diplomatic channels remain open, the rhetoric coming from leadership on both sides suggests that trust is limited and patience is wearing thin. Trump underscored that until a comprehensive and verifiable agreement is fully implemented, the United States will continue to maintain a formidable military presence in the region. This includes advanced naval deployments, strategic positioning of warships, and the readiness of high-impact weapon systems. The message behind this strategy is clear and calculated. The United States intends to preserve its leverage and ensure that any potential threat is neutralized before it can materialize. By keeping military assets in close proximity to Iranian territory, Washington is reinforcing its commitment to deterrence while simultaneously signaling that it is fully prepared for escalation if necessary. In his remarks, Trump reiterated that preventing Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons remains a top national security priority, leaving no room for compromise on this critical issue. He conveyed a sense of zero tolerance, making it evident that any attempt by Iran to backtrack on its commitments would trigger a decisive and overwhelming response. The language used was not merely cautionary but carried an unmistakable undertone of resolve, suggesting that the administration views this moment as a defining test of its broader Middle East strategy. At the same time, attention has increasingly turned toward one of the most strategically vital waterways in the world, the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow passage through which a significant portion of global oil supply flows every day. Trump made it explicitly clear that this critical maritime route must remain open and secure under all circumstances. Any disruption to traffic in this region would not only impact energy markets, but could also send shockwaves through the global economy, affecting everything from fuel prices to international trade stability. The United States has therefore reinforced its naval presence in and around this corridor, ensuring that any threat to shipping lanes can be addressed immediately. Trump emphasized that American forces are fully committed to safeguarding this route, and that any attempt by Iran to assert control or create instability in this region would be met with firm opposition. The underlying message is that control over such a vital economic lifeline is not just a regional issue but a matter of global significance, one that Washington is determined to protect at all costs. Meanwhile, analysts and geopolitical experts are interpreting Trump's statements as part of a broader pressure campaign aimed at compelling Iran to adhere strictly to the terms of the agreement. By combining diplomatic engagement with visible military readiness, the United States appears to be leveraging both negotiation and intimidation in an effort to shape outcomes in its favor. However, this approach also carries inherent risks, as heightened military activity and aggressive rhetoric can easily lead to miscalculations or unintended confrontations. Iran, for its part, has shown little indication of backing down, maintaining its stance and signaling that it will not yield under pressure. This ongoing standoff creates a volatile environment where even minor incidents could spiral into larger conflicts. The region, already marked by long-standing tensions and complex alliances, now finds itself once again at the center of global concern. As the situation continues to evolve, the stakes could not be higher. A breakdown in the ceasefire would not only reignite hostilities between the United States and Iran, but could also draw in other regional and global powers, amplifying the scale and impact of the conflict. The consequences would extend far beyond the Middle East, influencing global markets, international security, and diplomatic relations across continents. In his closing remarks, Trump urged Iran to seize what he described as a critical diplomatic opportunity, warning that the window for peaceful resolution may not remain open indefinitely. He stressed that the United States has reached the limits of its patience and that any further escalation would lead to outcomes with severe and far-reaching consequences. Now, the world watches closely, waiting to see whether restraint and diplomacy will prevail or whether the fragile calm will give way to renewed conflict. The question remains pressing and unresolved: will the ceasefire hold, or is the Middle East once again on the brink of a major war that could reshape the global order?